It's the Bulls Podcast, episode 20.
Hey, Chicago Bulls fans! It's time for your Bulls Podcast. Here are your hosts, Marcus Couch and Wyse Black.
Welcome to the Bulls Podcast, coming to you from bullspodcast.com. This is where we bring you the latest news, reviews, rants, rumors, and opinions on the players, coaches, and front office of our beloved Chicago Bulls. My name is Marcus Couch, and with me is my co-host, Mr. Wyse Black.
Yo, what up with all my Bull lifers out there, man? It's your man, Wyse Black here, and I'm just ready to talk Bulls, simply put. So let's get into it.
All right, we got a lot in store this episode, including something just hot off the wire. The Bulls have traded Justin Holiday to the Memphis Grizzlies for a couple guys. We'll go over that full trade recap. We got a recap of last week's games for the Chicago Bulls. We were 1-2, and we'll review just some of the highlights and lowlights, as it were. Early All-Star ballot results are in. We'll see if any Bulls may make the All-Star team this year, and we'll look ahead to this week's upcoming games. All that and more coming up right after this.
Bulls fans, remember to follow the show on social media at Bulls Podcast and at bullspodcast.com.
Hey, Bulls fans, we are happy to announce that the Bulls Podcast is available on Spotify, so make sure you look for us there, or just go to bullspodcast.com/Spotify, and it will forward you right to the exact place where you can save us to your favorites, and you can catch every single episode as they are released. So, Wyse, let's get to the hot topic of the moment, literally the hot topic of the hour. The Bulls have traded Justin Holiday to the Memphis Grizzlies for Marshawn Brooks and Wayne Selden. So this is one to absorb here. The Bulls have decided, well, actually the Grizzlies are looking to make a playoff run this year, so they want to stock up on guys. I guess Joakim Noah is not enough for them. They got to go with some other guys too. So they get rid of Justin Holiday, who was making about $4.4 million a year. We get two shooting guards in return. That plus we also get 2 second-round picks from Memphis. Both of those guys are on one-year deals, so we're not really locked into any bad scenarios. Here's how the deal worked out. $4.38 million for Holiday, and the two guys, Brooks and Selden, combined to make just about $3 million. So we get another $1 million in cap that we've got right now to play around with. Not like it's our money, but hey, it's $1 million. Now, while there could be some value in the future of players like Selden alone, because he's so young, Chicago is likely targeting the picks as assets to basically move into the G League. Memphis wants Holiday to make a nice run in the playoffs, which they'll probably have. So let's review each guy here. Marshawn Brooks is a 6'5", 200-pound shooting guard. He's out of Providence. He's 29 years old, which is going to make him just about the oldest Bull that there is. He's a 4-year NBA veteran. This season, he's averaged 6.6 points a game, almost 1 assist, and 1.6 rebounds. He is a career 8-point-per-game player. Wayne Selden, 6'5", 230 pounds, shooting guard out of Kansas. He's 24 years old and a 2-year NBA vet, so he's working on a rookie contract, basically. He is at 5.4 points a game this year, 1.1 assists, 1.4 rebounds, and has a 7-point career average. So, Wyse, what do you think of this trade, and what kind of impact do you think these two guys are going to have for the Bulls?
None at all. Seriously, I think this was clearly just to get more minutes for our rookie small forward and Chandler Hutchison. But Marshawn Brooks, being a 29-year-old veteran in the NBA who has never really seen any substantial time on pretty much any of the teams that he's been on, I see him as being just one of those players that we have on our bench just in case a guy gets injured. But even with that, I'd much rather call up our guy from the G League and Lloyd Markkanen's running mate from Arizona.
Raleigh Alkins.
I would much rather call him up before Marshawn Brooks. They're around the same size. I'm pretty sure that Raleigh could put up around 8 points a game or something like that if he got called to do so. So I'm happy with the trade just because I was completely sick of Justin Holiday. You look at Justin Holiday and what he's done over the past 10 games for us. He's been incredibly inefficient. Like, he doesn't really don't get me wrong, he has those on and off games, but when Justin Holiday is on an off streak, man, he just doesn't give us really anything. And that's the type of wave that he's on right now. So I'm definitely not mad that we got him off of this team. And like I said, seeing Chandler Hutchison get minutes out there, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do. They better put Chandler Hutchison in the starting lineup now, because, I mean, who else would they? Who else would replace Justin Holiday at that 3 position, right? So
nobody.
I like this move from that aspect, so I'm not mad about it. But these two guys that we picked up, like I said, they're not going to have anything to do with this team, really.
Yeah. Now, Selden might be trying to get a contract, so he might be playing pretty well in terms of playing ball for us the rest of the season. We'll see. I mean, 5.4 points a game, that's just a little bit north of what Felicio is doing when he's playing. I don't see really that much coming out of this one either.
Yeah, if he comes in like a Shaquille Harrison or something like that, because I don't think Shaquille's stats were great coming over from Phoenix, but you look at what he's doing for us right now, I like him, and this Selden dude, he is a pretty young player. So, I mean, maybe he will get some tick and he'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, but in terms of Marshawn Brooks, this is just a sympathy signing, I think. He hasn't really done anything for Memphis this year. I looked even on YouTube to see if there was any highlights or anything of Marshawn Brooks. Nothing. There is, of other guys dunking in his face, sure. But in terms of that, nothing. Let's talk about this. Should the Bulls be making any more trades? So with all the talk of tanking and taking on other teams' long-term bad deals, is it even worth considering trading any more guys on our team and potentially taking on the problems of others? Now, just for me, I say we should just keep what we have left, get a fat bank account for next year, and sign whoever we can in free agency. So who we got left? We got Robin Lopez on a 1-year deal, Jabari Parker on a 1-year deal, Cameron Payne on a 1-year deal, and Bobby Portis with an expiring deal as well. So the only thing I would look to trade for at all this point would be first-round draft picks. Yeah,
I was going to say, like, the only way I would take on a bad contract, maybe like a Chandler Parsons or something like that, I need multiple first-round picks.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't make sense any otherwise, like taking on a contract and just getting one first-round pick and a couple, prospects or something like that. No, I need multiple first-round picks at least.
Yeah, and in terms of any other players that are out there, I mean, I've heard Klay Thompson. Like, I saw this trade, somebody wanted to give away Portis and Zach LaVine and 2 first-round draft picks for Klay Thompson. Are you crazy?
Oof. I don't think he would be that good on this team.
Maybe 4 years ago, good. Klay Thompson, sure.
He's that good on the Warriors because of what they do, that system that they had. But him coming over here to Chicago, who doesn't run a great offensive system, I don't think he'd be probably not even half as effective as he is over there. Don't get me wrong. He'd be a great knockdown shooter, and he'd be the best player on this team. Definitely. But I don't think that he changed too much.
Yeah. And frankly, the Bulls' style right now, as far as their style of play, and we're going to talk about this later on in the show, it isn't a Klay Thompson style in terms of ball movement or scoring or anything like that. The other thing I saw out there was Anthony Davis. Now, I don't know if I'm Anthony Davis, I wouldn't touch the Bulls with a 10-foot pole. No way. He wants a ring, and he ain't going to get it here by being the sole guy. If that were the case, he'd be winning a ring this year in New Orleans, and he's not.
Yeah.
The trade scenarios that I've seen for Anthony Davis that people are floating out there is basically give everybody on the Bulls except Bobby Portis to New Orleans in exchange for Anthony Davis. That ain't going to happen.
Bobby Portis?
Well, he's not going to play with Nico in New Orleans. Come on.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes sense. But,
yeah.
but
Nico will be wanting another trade.
Right, exactly. Man, look, of course, man, for Anthony Davis, obviously it wouldn't be smart for him to come over here. But for us Bulls fans, I'm just hoping and wishing that he gives us that hometown break, because he's from Chicago. Everyone's going home and all of that. I mean, I would wish that AD would want to come here if he were to leave New Orleans, but that's very wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and review the last 3 games that the Bulls have played, talk about some of that and a little bit more in terms of the coaching and ranking, and we'll do that right after this. Okay, we're back, and this past week, since we had a show, we've had 3 games. One of them was a win, and the Raptors game was close, and the Orlando game was a complete disaster. Now let's take them one by one. Bulls versus Wizards. The Bulls actually won this game, 108-92, and I think this was one of Wendell Carter Jr.'s kind of come-out games. He had 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists. This was a pretty good win. Did you happen to catch this game?
Yeah, I did. I saw this one. The Bulls, really throughout that entire game, I felt like I won't say like pounced on the Wizards, because they were really pretty much neck and neck throughout most of the game. But defensively, they were on a tear. I felt like the Bulls defensively, they held Bradley Beal. As much as they could, they really held that team down and made them give the ball to Bradley Beal. They were going to force Bradley Beal to be the hero for that team, which he did have a very good game. I believe he had around 34 points, but he couldn't do it by himself. And that's what I liked out of that game. The Bulls really held their own on defense, and they had enough toward the end of that game. And Wendell Carter Jr., Lauri Markkanen, Chris Dunn, all of the guys, Zach LaVine, everyone chipped in, and they pretty much ganged up on Bradley Beal. So we pulled that one out.
And then we go to the Toronto Raptor game, which the Bulls lost 95-89. I actually thought of these 3 games, that was probably the most entertaining because it was close. And we held them, I think, to a season low, first quarter and first half in terms of the Raptors. But Kawhi did his stuff, and he brought them back and got the dub for the Raptors. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting game.
Well, the prior 6 games to the one that we lost yesterday to the Magic, the Bulls were looking very, very good on the defensive end. Like, they stuck really great D against this Raptors team, and that's what, managed them, what gave them that chance to really win that game versus the Raptors, because over the past 6 games, I believe that they kept opponents to an average of 40% shooting from the field. And they also, over that 6-game span, kept opponents under a score of 100. So the Bulls, they really turned it up on the defensive end. But as we're about to talk about in this next one, you can't tell.
Yeah, so yesterday's game, the Bulls lost big time to the Orlando Magic, 112-84. I think they just gave up. They just gave up defensively. They gave up offensively. Nobody was having a good game at all. It just didn't seem fun. Nothing about that game was good. It was bad from the start.
It was boring. It was a really boring game. I tell you the truth, man. Like, I kind of didn't even finish it all the way through. I know
that's the same as me, man. I turned it off with 10 minutes left.
I waited to like 5 minutes. I waited to 5 and I was like, all right, forget it, whatever. Just for the sake of like just being able to run down pretty much most of the stuff that happened. But yeah, you were right in even turning it off at 10 minutes left, because the same thing continued to happen. I mean, they made this Orlando Magic team look like, they were the Dwight Howard Orlando Magic or something, because the Bulls couldn't do anything with them. Wendell Carter Jr. had 0 points, 1 rebound. Robin Lopez had 0 points, 3 rebounds. They completely slaughtered our bigs. And it was Vucevic. They really couldn't do anything with him. Evan Fournier, he was hitting shots all over the court. Aaron Gordon, he manhandled this team. So I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because of the New Year's or something like that. It was a day after New Year's Day, and maybe the Bulls got caught slipping, drinking too much or something like that. But that's what it looked like.
Yeah, they're probably drowning their sorrows.
Man.
That's for sure. So let's go over this here. The last 3 games, I think, was a pretty good indicator of where we are as a collective unit with the Bulls. Now, while they haven't had their core 4, as you want to call it, which is Markkanen, Levine, Dunn, and Wendell Carter Jr. on the court together much this season, we look into the numbers, and really, I don't think it's going to really make much difference at all if those 4 play together. And even throw Portis in there in the mix, too. I don't think it's really going to matter. The Bulls right now, we rank last in total points per game. We rank 28th in free throws, 27th in field goal percentage, and 25th in shooting threes throughout the entire league. They're also 27th in 2-point field goals attempted. So Here's the thing. They're not getting to the free throw line. They're not making many threes, and they're not getting any 2-point buckets in there either. It looks like this. Jim Boylen wants to play more of this grinded out type of basketball. And this was really great if Jim Boylen was a coach in the 90s and he was playing the Pistons or the Knicks. But the game of basketball has evolved completely since this time frame. And unfortunately for Bulls fans, the Bulls team has not evolved. If this team is going to be anything other than the laughingstock of the NBA, there has to be a monumental shift in the makeup of the Chicago Bulls, and that starts with the front office. I think it goes without saying that Garpax have to be excused after this season is over, or not sooner. And I also don't think Jim Boylen is our coach.
No, not at all. I did my show on YouTube earlier, and I basically talked about the exact same thing, man. When you look at all 4 of these guys finally being able to play together, Laurie, Zach, Dunn, and Wendell, and from the stats that you just read off, overall as a team, it clearly doesn't really make a difference. But what I'll say is, in those 4 guys, we have very talented kids, man. And all of them have their own strengths as far as basketball. Lauri Markkanen is too much. I feel like he's too good of a young prospect. He can shoot the 3. He's very diverse on the offensive end, and he's no slouch defensively either. Zach LaVine is a major scoring punch, and he's a gunner from 3. He can knock down a shot pretty much anywhere on the floor. Chris Dunn, I feel like he's a great orchestrator. Well, I won't say great, but he clearly has potential there. He's good enough, if you ask me. Plus, he's a stellar defender out there. And Wendell Carter Jr., yes, he's a developing offensive player, but we've seen flashes. Like you can tell if the right guy gets with Wendell Carter Jr., he'll be a 20 and 10 player out there. Not to mention, I think he can also average upwards of 2 blocks per game as well. So yes, you're very right. You're definitely right. We need a shakeup in this entire organization. With the whole Garpax thing, man, it's sad to say, but I don't know. Like, based on what you hear about, the Reinsdorf family and all of that, Pax is their guy. And they won't let him go until there's probably another owner of this team. Now, hopefully that's not the case, but that's what I hear a lot.
They get credit for draft picks and drafting well. But it isn't rocket science, man. Anybody, you and I could pick draft picks if we had the 7th pick.
There you go. And look at all of the coaching errors that they've made over time. Now, don't get me wrong. Thibodeau was probably the best one that they picked. But you look at everyone else, they just can't get it right with these coaches, man. And then they go from one extreme to the other. I don't necessarily feel like it's Jim Boylen's fault that these guys don't know what to do. I know I really harped about him leaving this team before he was even the head coach, even this year when he was, assistant to Fred Hoiberg, just because I didn't like the defensive scheme. But when you look at this team now defensively, I do see a bit more of his fingerprint on the defensive end. But like you were saying, I don't think that he's well-rounded enough as a coach. I don't think he's the future coach for this team. But what are we going to do about it? I mean, what can we say? What change can come? Because these are the answers, if you ask me. We need a total shakeup. How does that happen?
It's going to have to happen if we're going to attract any sort of NBA talent in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody's going to go. You're not going to get one A-list free agent that's going to come here and go, yeah, man, Fred Boylan's the man. No.
Fred Boylan.
Or
might as well.
Jim Boylan, yeah. The hybrid. Whatever. Yeah. So one bright spot. Here's the bright spot of the last 3 games. One thing worth noting was the debut of Mark Shanowski as the play-by-play guy next to Stacey King. And they did that in Portland, and he was very entertaining. He messed up a couple times in terms of the score and some of the guys that he was calling out and all that. But hey, man, it's his first time. Certainly better than that other guy who's filling in for Neil Funk on away games. And I don't even remember that guy's name. I don't know why they don't just let Chuck Swirsky be the play-by-play guy. And if you've heard him on radio, man, he's really good. And he seems like he's got the trust of the players, too. And he interviews everybody on Bulls TV for the website after the game. So he's got a lot of insight as well. I think he'd be really exciting to put in, actually, as a broadcaster, since he's already there anyway. And then slide somebody else into the slot with Bill Wennington for radio. That's my only thing. If I can make that sort of G League to the pros, switch in terms of the broadcast team, I think Mark Shanowski is really good, but I don't think he's going to fly around for 40 games a year to do this. I think he'd probably rather be in the studio. It was worth noting, and I thought he did pretty well, and I recognized him on Twitter and everything else, and it seemed to be a good matchup with him and Stacey King together.
Yeah, you know what? I really like Chuck. I really think that Chuck is very entertaining. I'll pretty much watch most of the interviews that he does, when anyone comes to the United Center or anything that has to do with Chicago Bulls basketball. He's pretty much on the beat, and I think he's really insightful. I'm sure that he knows plenty of Bulls history, so yeah, he would be the right man for the job. And I really like the chemistry that Neil Funk and Stacey have. But you even look at this year, Neil Funk, he's like missing games and stuff like that. Yeah. So if he is going to have a replacement, I think Chuck Swirsky would be the best.
I hope so. One thing worth noting, we'll just do a quick Bulls injury update. Bobby Portis is back to participating in full contact practices again, so we should see him back on the court pretty soon. He needs to perform in a big way to get the kind of contract signing he's looking for. This is one case, as we talked about last week, where betting on yourself may have backfired due to injury. He's probably going to lose millions of dollars over the long haul because he's been injured twice. Word has it that he actually did not practice today, but I don't know if that's related to his injury or something else, but maybe he was getting treatment. Who knows? Probably see Bobby Portis back within the next week or so.
For Bobby's sake, one can only hope that he comes in and he really plays his heart out. He has, half of a season left almost at this point. I just pray that he stays clear of injury from now on, because you're right, man. He probably did really mess himself up by betting on himself and not taking that contract that the Bulls were offering him before. But I don't know. For Bobby's sake, like I said, hopefully he plays well, man.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the early All-Star voting results, and there's a few surprises in here that you might want to stay tuned to. So we'll be back right after this. Hey, Bulls fans, remember, we are a new show and we need your support in social media. We made it super easy to find us with some special redirect links. You can find us on Twitter at bullspodcast.com/Twitter. Join our Facebook group, probably the most important thing out of this whole list. And we did get some more people in the past week, and we'd love to see even more. Go to bullspodcast.com/Facebook. You can find us on YouTube, bullspodcast.com/YouTube, and Instagram is bullspodcast.com/Instagram. Now, in terms of subscribing to the show, we talked about Spotify earlier, but also if you go to bullspodcast.com/Apple or /iTunes, it'll go to where we are on Apple Podcasts, and we're at bullspodcast.com/Stitcher. So make sure you join up with us. We are at Bulls Podcast on everything social. So make sure you hook to us, say hello, and we will say hello back. Now let's talk about the early All-Star results that have just been released. Golden State's Stephen Curry holds first place amongst all the West guards with 793,000 votes. But here's a shocker. Derrick Rose is second with almost 700,000 votes. He's about 150,000 votes higher than James Harden or Russell Westbrook, which is pretty surprising, huh? D Rose.
Very.
Making a showing. The Greek Freak is the top vote getter amongst all Eastern Conference players, receiving almost 1 million votes, leading everybody. In the front court group, joining him is Kawhi Leonard of the Toronto Raptors and Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers with about 650,000 votes. In the East guards, Kyrie Irving has about 1 million votes, and Dwayne Wade is second with about 400,000, while Kemba Walker and Ben Simmons rounded out in third and fourth. Currently, there is only one Chicago Bull in the running, and that's Zach LaVine coming in at seventh in the guard position. I don't think he's going to make it, and it's my personal opinion that I don't think one Chicago Bull should be an All-Star game. It should be in the All-Star game this year at all. We don't deserve to be, and there's no one that has performed as a leader or player well enough to warrant any accolades at all this season. What do you think?
Clearly. Duh. Yeah, man. With Zach LaVine being seventh and being in seventh place, that's pretty cool because don't get me wrong, he has come out and I think he's surprised a lot of people. He's at least from a scoring aspect, Zach LaVine is living up to that contract so far. You know, he's not on an outrageous contract or anything like that. He's only getting $78 million. So paying $78 million for 4 years for an elite scorer, I think that's pretty good. But Zach LaVine is no all-star, man. No. I know that there will be a lot of people out there that maybe think otherwise, but as you just mentioned, man, there's no way your team can be 10-27 and you still make it to an all-star game unless it was like an Anthony Davis situation where he was just putting up just astronomical numbers, like 30 points per game, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Then, of course. But, no, Zach LaVine, he's not a leader, man, and he's pretty much just a scorer for this team. He's very flashy. We love him, we like him, but come on, man. No.
I'd like to see him in the slam dunk contest, though. I wonder if that can happen.
Of course. Definitely.
All right, let's go over some upcoming games and predictions for the next week. We've got the next game is going to be Friday, January 4th versus the Indiana Pacers, who are 25-12. Then we got Sunday, January 6th versus the Brooklyn Nets. They got an 18-21 record, so they're pretty much at 500. Next Wednesday, the 9th, we've got the Portland Trail Blazers, who are at 22-16. And then we've got the Golden State Warriors. Hopefully Klay Thompson won't go off on us again. They're at a 25-13 record, which is kind of surprising, actually, that they've lost 13 games. But that's going to happen a week from Friday. My prediction, we're going to lose all of those. The only shot I think we got is against Brooklyn, and that's always iffy because Brooklyn always plays us pretty tough. What do you think out of those four? Which ones do we have a shot at?
0.
None?
0. I don't even see us beating the Brooklyn Nets, to tell you the truth. Just because looking at the Brooklyn Nets this year, they're a pretty decent team. They're one of the top 3-point shooting teams, and they have some pretty decent players up over there. And more so, I think it's about the Chicago Bulls than the Brooklyn Nets. Looking at what the Chicago Bulls are doing this year, they're just a dumpster fire, man. I don't think that they're focused enough to really be even average and mediocre teams, man, because they're just pretty much a mediocre team at best themselves. But you add on all of the drama that they have, man, it's just hard for these guys to really focus on basketball. So, no, I don't see them beating any of them. Maybe if it were Phoenix or something like that.
Who knew that the year that we had Nate Robinson and the year that Joakim Noah won Defensive Player of the Year and we had Carlos Boozer, who knew then that that's as good as it was going to get for the next 5 years? Man.
No one. That Derrick Rose team, man, that was – everyone thought that we were going to the ship, man, which we should have, but bad luck hit us.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout, and we'll be back right after this message. Okay, that is going to close it all out. Just remember, you can find me on social anywhere, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, the like, at Marcus Couch. You can find Wyse at radical_creator on Twitter and on Instagram. And make sure you also subscribe to his YouTube channel where he breaks down every single game. And remember, you can check out the compilation website that we put together where you can find all of the different Chicago Bulls podcasts from every single Chicago Bulls show out there. And that's over at bulls.fm. Remember, you can follow our show notes and get links to everything that we mentioned here over at bullspodcast.com. And Wyse, just remember, buddy, we're only 132 days away from the NBA lottery.
Thankfully, I don't know if I can wait even that long, but actually, that is completely way too long. But no, thank you guys, all of you out there. Thank you for continuing to listen to us and support the show. Me and my guy Marcus definitely do our thing on this show, and we appreciate everyone who listens. So you guys just please continue to do so. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the pod, man. It is greatly appreciated. And I hope all of you guys had a very happy new year and made all of those, New Year's resolutions and all of that. I wish all of you good luck, man. So thank you guys once again, and we'll see you.
All right. Until next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls, baby.
Hey, Bulls fans. This is your Bulls championship announcer, Ray Clay, saying so long, everybody. Go Bulls.